Okay, sorry guys. I meant to start that at the beginning. That's okay. Um, okay, but yes, we're nearly at the end. So here on our timeline, really the only thing that we have to go over is the final submission. We've done checkpoint one, we've done checkpoint two, and all of the in-person events already happened. The last one we had was a couple of weekends ago. So this is just a reminder, we are near the end. So the final submission deadline that we're going to talk about today is on May 29th at 5 p.m. And again, we make that submission deadline earlier in the day at 5 p.m. and that's in specific standard time because that way, if you're trying to submit the forms, we actually have folks in the office that can help you if you have trouble. If you're trying to do it in the middle of the night, we're not going to be there to help you. So just note that date. You got a little bit of time from now. And then just a reminder, if you guys are kind of looking through what's in the challenge manual or on the websites, there's two different things that we reference in the mission objectives and in the companion course lessons for students to document their work. The first one is called the Science and Engineering Notebook. This is intended to kind of be just like a lab notebook, a way for them to keep track of like all of their results, little notes to themselves, all the little details. We really encourage teams to use this in order to basically build the log of data that they can use to put into their mission development log. So, what we're going to ask you guys to submit is not the science and engineering notebook, but the mission development log. And that document is a collaborative team document. So there's just one per team. And this is going to be the summary of what they did for each mission objective. So instead of being every nitty gritty detail, it should be the concise demonstration of how they completed the mission objectives. And in particular, what you guys want to focus on is when you're looking at the mission objective at the very end of it, it says these are the deliverables. So those are the things that we're going to evaluate. Did the students actually hit what we call the deliverables or do the things we ask them to do at the very end of that mission objective? So that's the document that we hope the teams complete and submit to NESB. So just a few more reminders about this. The mission development log, the template and kind of a description overall of what it should be is in mission objective one. So hopefully most teams have started this or looked at this or have access to this already. But if you have just been kind of doing this stuff and haven't been documenting it, you can go back to mission objective one to find the template. There are some rules about what is finally submitted, and these are important on our end. So these, and again, it's documented in the manual, but you should include slides for all of the mission objectives that your team completed, which is to say you don't have to include or make up slides for the ones that they didn't attempt, if they didn't attempt all the mission objectives, and that's totally fine. And you are allowed to add additional slides to the template if they need more slides to show their work. That's totally fine. We do ask that the total template or the total thing that you submit is less than 50 slides. And that includes, I'll talk about the different colors in a second, but we have green slides that are some guidance on specific mission objectives. So that includes the green slides, but not the yellow slides. So I'll talk about that in a second. And then again, just because we have a lot of issues when people try to share Google Documents with us with like having actually the sharing open, right, that we're able to open it and look at it, we ask that everything is submitted as a PDF. So just download it as a PDF and then upload it to our website. And that means you can't necessarily include dynamic content like videos, but that's okay. And then at the beginning, we're going to ask you guys to include if the mission objective log has student faces, pictures of their faces, then we do need to have their parents sign off on that NASA media release form. If you do not have a NASA media release form from a student, that's okay. Just don't put a picture of that student's face in the mission development log. They could be in the picture, it can be the back of their head. We just can't have their face in the document. Okay, and then the last thing is sometimes we see really fancy mission development logs. They don't need to be over the top. They should be completed by the students with the help of the advisor. rather than, the students kind of submitting stuff and then the adult mission advisor making it look really nice. So make sure to give the students the lead on figuring out what they want their mission development log to look like. Okay, so quickly, again, this should be hopefully a review for a lot of you guys. The yellow slides are a lot of that stuff that I just told you, just a lot of guidelines and hints about how to complete it. You can delete the yellow slides. This does not, so it doesn't contribute to that 50-page limit. So this is one about just kind of how to get started and then some reminders. There's another one here on the photo guidelines that I just talked about. This one has the links to those photo release forms if you need to have the students' parents sign that. And again, not required, but if you do have pictures of the students' faces, that's something that we need. And then just going through a couple of slides, we're not going to go through the whole thing. It is important, though, that the first slide, as shown in the template, has the team name, and we're hoping this matches the team name that you guys have on your Rhodes Educator profile. The team number, again, that number should match what's on your Rhodes Educator profile, so we know which mission development log goes with which team, and we don't get confused. And then we like to have a picture of the mission patch on that first page. And then you can add students' names and location. So please make sure that that title page, it doesn't have to look like what I have in this slide in terms of the background, but it should include that information. And then there's green slides. Green slides are slides that you don't need to edit, but they're there to guide you in terms of what needs to be included for each of the mission objectives. So don't change the green slides, but leave them in there. And that, again, helps you kind of guide or helps your team complete that mission development log for each MO. A few other things. There is a table of contents that each team should fill out, this right at the beginning. And again, just letting us know which ones your team completed. In the mission development log, we recommend having a student lead for the different mission objectives, and then you can list the participating students. That allows you to kind of spread out the work amongst the team, so the team can also keep track of that as well. And then some of the mission objective slides are kind of blank and open-ended, and other ones like this mission objective one that asks students to list their funds of knowledge or their prior knowledge that they use to contribute or complete each MO. Some of those have more template setups. But really, it's your guys' document within the kind of template format that we've given you. There is a lot of flexibility about how you present the data. But we do want to provide some structure so when we're evaluating the MOs, we're not kind of comparing apples to oranges. Everyone's kind of submitted something that's similar enough that it's easy for us to kind of compare one to the other. Okay, but hopefully, again, a lot of you guys are returners, so this hasn't changed too much in the last couple of years. So hopefully that's all good and the teams have already started working on it. Very quickly, I just want to go through how to submit the MDLs. So that's what we'll talk about next. And again, this is very similar to what we've done in previous years. So if you've done it before, it should be pretty straightforward. The guidelines on basically how to complete your mission and submit your mission development log are in mission objective 8. There's 8A and 8B. One is intended for teams that have gone to a in-person challenge event. So you guys should know who you are by now if you went to one of the events in Idaho, Montana, Washington, Arizona, or Texas. And then mission objective 8B is for teams that did not go to an event and they want to upload some virtual results demonstrating some of the mission objectives that teams completed at those in-person events. Okay. But either way, there's guidelines in mission objective 8. And again, this is due on May 29th. And the purpose of you guys uploading this, it's kind of got, for us, it allows us to recognize the teams. Also for the grant that funds this work, it's important that we collect information about who's completed what and how much they've completed so that we can report that back to NASA. Some other little notes here, again, show what your team did for every mission objective attempted. So even if, for example, you did the robot challenge and your team wasn't able to fully complete the challenge or measure each of the color samples, that's fine. If they attempted it, go ahead and put some information about what they did or what they were able to accomplish, or maybe even what got them stuck in the mission development log. If you didn't do some of the mission objectives, just delete those slides. You don't need to include them or make an excuse or something for why you didn't get to that one. That's totally fine. And then, of course, yeah, keep it within the page limit. Okay, so finding the form. Again, you guys should be kind of used to this by now if you've gotten this far. On the website, you guys have your Roads Educator page. I'm just going to pause for a second. Does everybody know how to find their Roads Educator profile page? Hopefully. Okay, if you can't find it or if you forget how to find it, just go back to the Roads Challenge page and there's a link there to sign on. And if you ever have issues signing on, you can always email info@Nesby and we can help you out in terms of resetting passwords and things like that. But once you log on, it will take you to this page where you've got kind of a couple of different tabs. Um, and the challenge mission status tab is kind of your go-to place for anything with your roads teams and your roads mission. So if you go to that one, again, you guys should have been here before because this is how you did the other checkpoints. There's a common link for all the checkpoints, the submit your team's work. So if you click on that now, it should take you to the submission form I'm just about to show you. And then you're going to need to submit one form for each of your teams. So before you get into that form, you're going to want to either have this open in another tab or write down the team numbers and the team names. And then make sure you have the MDLs ready to upload for each of your teams. Okay, that's basically what I just said. Other things you're going to want to know before you submit the MDL, in addition to having the document, make sure you know all of the team names or the student names for each team. I'm sure you guys know that, but make sure you know their preferred names and the correct spelling because we use your submission of this form in order to make their certificates of completion. So however you spell the name is what we put on that form. So it's important that it's correct. And then you're also going to be asked for age, gender, ethnicity, and race on that form. The only one that's required is age. And again, that's a little bit helpful for us for doing the data reporting back to NASA. But if you can provide that other information, that helps us out as well. There is a file size limit to the MDL. So after you've downloaded it, just take a little peek at the PDF form and make sure it's under 100 megabytes. That's pretty big. So that should be fine. But if it is too big, often it's because there's just too many slides or maybe there's too many pictures on the slides. So you can often go in there and try to reduce the number of images, and that should take the file size down a little bit. And then this is a little bit of extra work. If your team did not attend an in-person hub event, what we asked them to do in Mission Objective 8B is actually to record video of completing the robotics part of the challenge, the roving for detailed data on your own challenge course that you guys have in your schools or organizations, and then the kite one, so capturing data from afar. So we're going to ask you in the form to either upload those videos as files or you can share them via a link, which means you could upload them as an unlisted video on YouTube or something like that and share that link. But you'll need to prepare that before the form. And then for those videos, again, just keeping in mind that we get a lot of these submissions. So we like to have those made. We love watching them, but if they end up getting over 10 minutes, it's hard for us to watch a lot of videos. So we ask that you keep each video under 5 minutes long. And you really don't need to do anything. Obviously, if the team wants to do some fancy editing and make them fun, that's totally up to them. But from our perspective, we're not expecting really fancy editing on the videos. So that's not required at all. Okay. So let's just quickly go through the form just so you guys get an idea about what it looks like, because once you're in it, you're kind of in it and ready to go through it. This is the first page of the form again. So we're just asking for the team number. That team number is the same one listed here on your Roads Educator profile page. And then the team name, again, hopefully that's the same name here and the number goes with the name. And again, that just helps us match previous things your team has done and make sure we get the right things on the certificates of completion and things like that. It will ask you to select the appropriate age range for your team category or grade range. And then student information for each of the student members of that team. So this is just what's going to show up here, and it's an expandable part of the form. So if you put that you only have 3 team members, you only have 3 of these fields to fill out. If you have 6, then 6 should show up if everything's working correctly. So that gives you an idea about what kind of information we'll ask for each student. And then for mission development log, we just ask that you click here just to let us know which mission objectives your team has completed. That can also be attempted, basically the ones that are included in your MDL. And again, we can just compare that with what's actually submitted to make sure we didn't miss one. And then again, we only had one NASA expert talk, but we like to know if you went to that talk so you can indicate that. And then this is a place where you can just click and then pick the file on your computer to upload that team's MDL. And then you're almost done, especially if you went to a challenge event. If you went to a challenge event, on the next page, we just ask which one you went to. And then you have an option here to let us know if your team presented their roads results anywhere else. We encourage you guys to do that if you can, whether it's a school assembly or maybe a science fair or something like that. So that just is a nice way to share that information with us. And then we do ask sometimes we like to share good examples of MDLs in future years to help other teams. So we ask if we have permission to share your MDL. So if you're wondering about that, you can always consult with the students and see how they feel about it before you fill out the form. And then the last thing, if you did not select, if you said we are submitting virtually instead of saying you went to an in-person event, then you have one more set of fields to fill out, and it's either the one on the left or the one on the right. Basically, you're going to let us either know whether you're uploading files for the video or if you're going to provide links, and that changes what the form looks like. So if you're uploading files, then we just ask you to upload one file for roving for capturing data from afar mission objectives. That's mission objective 5. And then another file for mission objective 6. And again, these can be as basic as what you just recorded on your phone. No editing is required, although you're welcome to do that if you like. The other option is to provide links. Anytime we ask for links, we have issues again because people give us links to something on a Google Drive or something like that, and we don't have the permission to open it. So if you do use links, please, please, please check the permissions to make sure at least info@NSBE, if you don't want to make it wide open to anyone with a link, info@nesbe.org has permission to view that file. We usually only ask maybe once or twice if we don't have permission. And if we never get permission, then we kind of give up on it because we can't keep hounding you, okay? But that's what the form looks like. Again, you just need to upload one form for each team. And if you're prepared, the MDL is ready to go, the videos are ready to go, it should be really quick. So it's not meant to be arduous at all. Just a few frequently asked questions, and then I can look at the form and see if there was any more questions that aren't here. Again, one frequently asked one we get is, my team didn't finish the challenge. I didn't do all the MOs. Should I still submit? And honestly, even if you didn't complete the MDL, if like you just had the very first page done, we still like to have you guys submit that final form. Even if we know that your team didn't do it, it's still useful information for us to see, this is a team that started and didn't finish. And we can still, even if your team, again, didn't fully complete any of the mission objectives, we're still happy to recognize the work that they did to like get started and attempt some of the challenge. So please feel free to submit incomplete work to our form. And then again, where do we submit the final results? I kind of went over that, but you want to go to your Rhodes Educator Profile page to find the link. And you guys can go there right now if you want to check it out. It is available and open. You don't need to get anything signed by the parents unless you did not already get those media release forms signed and you need that in your MDL because of the images. And then this is a big one. What if I need to change the number of teams or update team members? So we know as the months go on, sometimes you lose team members. Maybe you consolidate 2 teams into one. All of that is fine. if you want to make sure that everything in your roads educator page is matching what you're going to submit in your MDL, just send info@nesby an email and let us know what you would like to change, like what student you would like to add or take out, what teams you would like to consolidate. We can go into the back end of our website and change that so that your educator profile page matches what you're going to upload when you upload your MDL. Okay. And then, yeah, same thing. So basically, if you need to change anything before you upload it, feel free just to send us an email. And if you're curious about what you submitted before, by the way, you can go back. Every time you submit a form, you should get an email and get what you uploaded for like checkpoint 2 and checkpoint 1. You should have it in your email somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second and look at questions. I've got one question in the chat from Sarah Turner that says, are there any other NASA expert talks coming up? We do not have any more NASA expert talks planned as part of this Rhodes Challenge. We'll try to share right now with the Artemis stuff going on. There has been some kind of general NASA talks available for teams to attend from some of the other science activation teams. So we'll share those as they become available, but we do not have any more planned. It's a good question. Let me look at the form. If you guys have questions, feel free to unmute. Not a lot of questions in here, except for one that I already answered. Yeah, so one says, do I have to submit all 5 at the same time? So let's say if you have 5 teams, and right now one team's ready to submit their MDL, but the other 4 are not. You don't have to submit them all 5 together. You have to submit one form for each team, but it doesn't matter if you submit one, for each of 5 days, or you submit one and then you wait a week and then you submit the other 4. It doesn't matter. You don't have to submit them all at once. So feel free to have the teams complete them as they are ready to do so. Okay, pausing for questions. Okay, yeah, this is I will talk about what's going on next year. Leslie, that's a good question. I'm almost there and we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, so what happens next? We get a lot of questions when I talk to people in person, or just a general idea that folks want to know a little bit more about how the student works are evaluated. So I wanted to put a couple slides in here to give you guys a better idea about how we score the MDLs and evaluate them. And that can help you maybe help your team prepare their MDL. So we do give MDLs a number score. And again, this isn't really meant to be a competition, but we do want to recognize high performing teams. So the easiest way to do that is, rather than, again, just do it fully qualitatively, to get a little bit quantitative about it. So we do score them. And the score is going to be based on the number of mission objectives attempted, the number completed. Okay, so those two are scored independently. The number of deliverables for each mission objective completed. So we actually look and compare what the team did to what we asked them to do in that deliverables box. And then just a general effort level. So did this team go above and beyond? Is it kind of like an average level of work for that mission objective? Or is it just like kind of barely attempted? This is internal for us mostly. So we don't ever like publicize the numerical score of a team, and we never will. I'll show you in a bit. We will share the team scores with you guys, so you guys have that information, but you are not obligated in any way to share those scores with your student teams if you choose not to. And then again, this allows us to kind of especially recognize high performing teams. So this is just a little preview of our rubric. This is, again, it's not super fancy. It's a Google worksheet. And this is just for a couple of the mission objectives, so mission objective 1 and 2. But the most straightforward thing is we're kind of looking through the mission development log, and we are clicking kind of what things were completed, and then we are giving them, again, that kind of minimal, average, exceptional score. And then there is a box in here for us to do some free form comments as well if we want to add a little bit of information based on what was done in the MDL. And this is looked at by NESB staff and also some of the hub coordinators that you guys have worked with in the different states. And then the feedback form that you guys will get, we did this last year, so some of you guys that did it last year, this should look familiar. But basically, what we do is we populate this form with the scores of your team. Um, so that's what's going to be on the front here. And then on the back of this form, we actually also provide average scores for all of the teams submitted. So if you want, you can compare your team scores to the average scores for all of the teams that submitted MDL. So again, if you're using this in a class and you need something to use as a grade or something like that, that can be handy for you. And it can also help, again, maybe you compare teams internally or have a better understanding of how we select teams. Okay, but again, not meant to be a competition, so you can also just toss this in the trash if you want. All right, so what is our recognition going to look like this year? I'm sure hopefully everyone has gotten the sad news, okay, that we just cannot do a Kennedy trip this year. We are on a no cost extension, part of our grant, which basically means we're on an extra year that was not written into the original grant. So we just don't have the funding to do that kind of trip. Um, so that's not happening, and hopefully that's been communicated to the students. But we are still sending out, we will still send out certificates. We're sending out folders like we've done in previous years, and teams that did not attend an in-person challenge will get a mission complete medal. Okay, so all of this stuff will be mailed to the mission advisors, but only for the teams that submitted that MDL. So if you don't submit an MDL, we don't know that you completed the challenge and we don't know to send this to you. Teams will also be celebrated during a virtual recognition ceremony. Again, this allows us to show off some of the high performing teams and include some pictures and the mission patches and stuff like that. And that's going to be on June 11th at 5 p.m. And that will be recorded. So if you can't make that time, if your team can't make that time, that's fine. We always upload those on our YouTube page, and they'll stay up there so teams can share it with their fans, their family and friends and things like that after the fact. And then each year we actually do have an article written on NASA Science Activation page. And so this year we'll make sure to do that again. And this is another opportunity for us to specifically call out high performing teams so that their team name and their location can be written up on the NASA website. So that's what we're planning for this year. Again, no Kennedy trip. So I know that's sad for some of the teams that was hoping and waiting, but hopefully we'll be able to get back to that kind of stuff soon. I just wanted to throw in some fun pictures because we did have a lot of fun at our in-person hub events, and I didn't have a lot of time to nitpick through pictures, but we will be sharing these as well on social media. And I just want to encourage you guys, I am always so impressed with the teams, in particular their trifold presentations. We started doing that a couple of years ago, and it's my favorite part of our in-person event and the ones that I've been to. So if your teams have an opportunity to take that trifold board and present their results somewhere else in your community, I really encourage them to do that because the teams have done really great work on those, and they're really great at explaining their work, explaining their results. So I would love for them to get the opportunity to do that elsewhere. All right, another opportunity to ask questions. I will talk about the future of NESB on the next slide, if that's the question that you have. Pause, pause, pause. There will be time for questions at the end too. Okay. All right, so I just have one slide on what's next for NESB because the truth is we're kind of on a holding pattern, so we don't 100% have the answer to this question. But just again, to give you guys an idea about what's going on. So what's next for roads? Roads is a big part of the Northwest Earth and Space Sciences Pathways. It's worth me noting actually that roads, of course, is not the only thing that we do. There's lots of other elements to our grant as well. But we are in the final year of our current grant and funding. So at the end of 2026, the funding that we're using right now to do our events and pay our staff and all that stuff, will not exist with the current award. However, we have applied for the next round of funding, and we are basically just waiting to hear back about our proposal. So we should hear back in late summer. So we'll kind of know what can be possible at that point. So we can't really give you guys a conclusive answer about what's happening in the future until we know about that funding. In the meantime, what we're kind of working on is archiving materials and improving our website. So you should see maybe minor changes to some of the pages on our website, but in general, the goal is to make sure that there's still easy access to roads content. So that includes lessons, mission objectives, things like that, and other NESP content as well that's been developed by some of our partner programs. So all of that will remain available kind of indefinitely, no matter what happens. We'll be trying to keep that website up. And it's possible, again, even if we don't get funded on this cycle, there might be some other funding that becomes available. So it may just be a longer pause. It's worth noting that many of the other NESP programs, like I said, there's other NESP programs, including Washington and Montana Aerospace Scholars. UW Riverways does an alternative spring break program. The museums do a lot of outreach and things like that. A lot of those programs, whether NESP gets funded or not, are going to continue because they've got multiple streams of funding. So I don't expect those programs to cease if we don't get refunded. And then just in general, stay tuned for updates. We'll update you guys as we know more. And we also love to hear positive stories. So don't feel compelled to send, you don't necessarily at this point have to send us a bunch of positive stuff. We've kind of already written the proposal and done our best to prove that to NASA, but we always love to hear updates anyways. So um, if you have a student that's done NESP programs and has gone on to do great things, we love to hear about that. If you feel like it's improved your school or your community, we love to hear about that as well. Okay. But yeah, this isn't the end because we've got a few more things that we're going to do this year. And yeah, stay tuned. So hopefully that answers the question. So Jen asked, are there going to be summer camps? That's a great question. So that's in the chat. So the summer camps I think that you're referring to, Jen, are our summer mini missions, which are associated with the roads challenges. We chose not to do them this year, so we are not doing mini missions. We're hoping to do them in future summers. However, that doesn't mean that you can't do mini missions, if that makes sense. We just can't do them in the way that we've done them in the past with the level of support. And that's a choice that we had to make just based on the amount of funding that we have available for the summer. Okay, other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself. Feel free to put them in the chat. If you don't have questions, that's okay too.
If we want to do our own mini mission this summer, can we hold on to our supplies?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yes. And in fact, that's a good question about what to do with supplies. If you guys are here in a long time mission advisor, we are not going to be asking for supplies back anytime soon. Um, there's kind of two scenarios, right? We either get funded, and in that case, we wouldn't ask for the supplies back anyways. If we don't get funded, we have a lot of supplies that we need to distribute in very specific ways, and one of those ways could be donating them to schools. So feel free to hold on to the supplies for now. Yes, and Deanna put mini mission lesson plans and materials are on the website, and that might be something that we're going to work on archiving and kind of making look a little bit nicer too. Okay, I see that, Mike. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, if you guys are doing mini missions, again, if you want to keep that momentum up and do them on your own, we fully encourage that. We're really sad that we can't support them this year. We just do not have the funding to do it. That's kind of how it goes. Okay, other questions? Those are good questions. We also want to just, again, this isn't the end because we are hoping to get lots of MDLs in and do a recognition ceremony. But for you guys that are here, thank you guys so much for everything that you guys have done for the students and kind of sticking with us through this last year, which has been a little bit tricky and a little bit tough and a little bit different. So we appreciate that. Okay, that's all I have. So again, feel free to hang out if you have questions. I've got the ability to help you with technical things. If you're having a hard time with the robot challenge or XYZ, I can help with that too. But if you don't have questions, feel free to sign off. We will share the recording of this and the slides for folks later. I might have to re-record it because I forgot to start at the beginning. Thanks, guys, and have a good evening. Enjoy the weather. It's starting to get nice. And please submit those MDLs. We love to see them. It warms our hearts.